we doing here, folks? Let's see where we are at. We're going to do some design streaming, building up the spell point system, martial powers, the 5-color mana spell point variant rules, color mana. How's my volume? Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Am I sounding good over here? Check. Color mana. How's my volume? Mic check, 1, 2. Yeah, that sounds really good. All right, cool. Let's stay in that space. See if we can have some productive time together. I'm going to do some social media posting here real quick. So I'm going to regale you with my origin story and just start ranting about shit that I like. So if you want to skip ahead 2 minutes, once I get all the intro stuff burned out of my system, you're welcome to do so. If you're caught here in time space with me here and now while we're live streaming, or if you've never heard all my spiel before, I cordially invite you to grab a seat as we play in the world of 5e game design. My name is Phil Kearney. Hey, I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish online. And I've been creating content for Dungeons & Dragons since 2017 on the DMsGuild. I've been a DM for D&D in general since 1987. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. I've been a Magic the Gathering enthusiast since I want to say 95. And I gotta say, when Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica came out in 2017, there was a lot of hope from folks like myself that are both into D&D and MTG that we would see some sort of color mana system come about. And that didn't happen. So instead, they kept the 8 schools of magic and spell slots and instead said, if you're a Boros wizard, then you use white and light type magic. So go ahead and narrate it like that. Otherwise, your character's unchanged. That was unsatisfying. 5e is such a toolkit type of game engine that you can just kit bash all day with all sorts of cool stuff. It wasn't difficult to create a color mana system for 5e that would provide a more authentic narrative of color magic with mana for characters to be able to, instead of the 8 schools of magic and spell slots. So we're going to dive into that here real quick. Hold on. Let me peel this open here. If you're on the X Twitter platform, I am at Phil Kearney, where I post coupons. The subclass is Revivified. If you checked my stream 2 weeks ago when I was building the Forsaken Monks, all of that design work went into this book, which I believe is a copper bestseller already. It hasn't clicked over yet, but I saw earlier that it had 51 sales. So when this thing ends up, it takes a little while for the metal to catch up when the system confirms it, but it's already got copper status, and it's a cool project. So I'll be referencing it in the future for sure. So if you're on the X Twitter platform, you can follow me at Phil Kearney. Coupons, discounts, different things that I've done, artwork, works in progress, and when I live stream like this. So hey, on YouTube here directly, hey, new subscribers, thanks a lot, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications of when we are live in the future. Here's the entire playlist of all 167 episodes to date of us designing this system, basically from scratch. And then basically building, doing play testing, coming back, revising. Then we have the new rules, so we're updating all the rules. Then we're going to go back to play testing in November. So if you're interested, you're welcome to join. You just got to jump onto my Discord community, and if you're a Patreon member, then if there's more interest than seats, then whoever is a Patreon member gets preferential treatment. So keep an eye out for that stuff. We will be doing playtesting for level 3, 4 in November for martial powers using the spell point system that we've developed. Here's all the other books that I've made. Go check those things out. They're all free preview. If you buy one, you're basically telling me make more like that. And so bless you if you do. The martial powers playtest content, which I just clicked here, takes us to my Patreon. You can click on the martial powers system button here. It'll take you to a read-only document, Google Doc, It's the same Google Doc that I use when I'm doing my live edits here on stream. And we've been working on the Artificer. The martial power system in general is a short rest monk mana system that the barbarian, fighter, monk, rogue can all use. And instead of ranger and paladin being on a long rest spell slot system, they use the same short rest martial points that the monk does. This is also the same system that warlocks already use in the Spell Point Warlock supplement that I created. Hold on, let's go check out the 5-color mana system here, where it teaches you how to convert the 8 schools into the 5 colors and the spell point progression to use instead of what was in DMG 2014. I don't even know if there's going to be spell point. I don't know if they'd be willing to devote a full page to spell points in 2024. This might be the cutting. I mean, it's already the bleeding edge of spell point technology, but it might very quickly become the only word. So here's the spell points according to the DMG to work for a spell point warlock. You have your short rest packed mana, which you get back on a short rest, and then you've got your incarnate magic that you get back on a long rest. You get 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th level spell slots, and when you get to 43 mana, that's according to the DMG. 43 mana is what you need for a 9th, 8th, 7th, and 6th level spell together. You can only spend Arcanum points on your Mystic Arcanum. You can only spend the packed mana on your packed spells, level 1 to 5. But you can also, if you want to sacrifice your Mystic Arcanum, you can use your long rest mana on packed magic. So you have that flexibility. It goes downhill, it can't go back up. So short rest, long rest. If you're using the color mana universal spell point system that I have, it's 1 point per level, and Wish is considered a 10th level spell, so you don't get access to Wish until 19th level, and it can reproduce the effect of anything below it. So when you're level 19, any 9th level spell that you have access to in the game, you'd be able to reproduce with Wish, and then at that level, at level 20, you can begin breaking the rules of reality. By the way that it works with Wish is that you permanently sacrifice mana to get what you want, no strings attached. So when you hold a conversation with your demon patron, or your otherworldly patron through the DM, you start having this negotiation about, I'm going to give you this much power that you've invested into me to become this 20th level warlock. I'm now going to cash in what you invested, and as a result, I want my life, I want my daughter back, or I want you to crush Minzo Baranzan as though the earth were a fist, or I want to save our world from this astral elf plague. And then you decide, how much of my mana am I willing to permanently lose to make this thing happen? And since it's a 20th level character, you're pretty much doing it as a campaign capstone. So if you've got a bunch of people at high levels like that, you can all just hey, what's the wish that we're going to be? And you can pool your resources, and everyone can dump their mana into making that wish happen. And then those players permanently change the campaign world as a result of their character's growth and power. And if you play in looping campaigns, generally what I do is I play a campaign, they get their wishes, and they change the reality for the better. Then we play another campaign, and then the next campaign after that, their first wish takes into effect. And at the end of the second campaign, they make their wishes. So by the fourth campaign, you start seeing those things go into effect. So as you cascade through a number of 20-level campaigns, the world continues to evolve and change. Right now, in my fourth campaign in the Eberron Spelljammer setting, in campaign number 2, the players awoke all of the spirits inside of Warforged machines. So they remember who they used to be before they were trapped in that in that metal shell. And so we went through another campaign fighting demons, and then now that we've started this campaign up, that was a time loop campaign. Now that the time loop campaign number 3 was a time loop campaign. Now that we're in campaign number 4, we're in an orbital asteroid campaign where all the Warforged left Eberron to be in the asteroid belt that surrounds the planet. They don't have to breathe, they don't have to eat or drink, so they can just exist in space with no problem and just be rock miners they started working with the gnomes and they started working with the dwarves to break down these asteroids into chunks that could be tossed down and processed. And eventually the dwarves and the gnomes rose up to meet the Warforged so that there wouldn't have to be planet falling asteroids hitting the planet. That's what got the orbital mining operations began, was the Warforged just kept dropping asteroids onto the planet. It's like, here, process this. It's nothing but metal left. We got rid of the rest of it. And then they get their cut as a result of it. But after some mishaps, they're like, we need to put a refinery in orbit so that you don't have to lob these asteroids down to Earth. And we'll figure out a way to get airships up to the orbit so they can gather up the ore and then bring it back to the nations. So that's currently what our campaign is about. And all the Warforged that got awoken, since they were all Siren, Seer and Warlocks worshiping a demon of machines. And so the demon recycled their soul back into machines. It gave them the plans to build Warforged. And then it created a machine to extract souls to be able to power it, but it didn't explain that to them. So every time a Warlock would die in Sire, it would get recycled back into a Warlock, and the Lord of Machines would still gain power off of them. Even though their memory was wiped, they were still tethered to them. So while they continued in normal space, or in normal Eberron, the Lord of Machines continued to gain power. After the team killed that demon, it released them from not knowing who they were, and they all awoke. And like, we don't have anywhere to be anymore. We're an entire culture that knows who we used to be. And there was huge legal battles to try to resolve, like, this property you have that used to be mine, I want it back. Like, no, there's no place. So instead, as a sort of reparation or like sorry this happened to you, don't cause us trouble, they didn't have any land to give over like they did for Dargoon. So instead they helped them get to orbit. It's like, here, mine rocks up here, it'll be great. And they built a culture up there. And now the dwarves and the gnomes are in on it. And it's them against the humans. So it's a cool campaign, and I have no idea where it's going to end up going. But at the end of it, they'll be able to reshape reality to a degree as they please and exhaust and give up resources to do it. And then that'll close the campaign, and then we'll start another campaign, and it'll be whatever, but it'll be modified off of the time loop campaign that they're anyway. So that's what a wish can do, right? So the spell point system is one mana for every level. Level 1 to 10, 1 to 10 points. There you go. So as you can see here, using the mana system, you go from level 1 to 20 with short rest, just like a monk would or whatever. But instead of gaining extra attacks at higher levels, you're gaining this Mystic Arcanum, and you have the invocations as well. So we rebuilt all of this last session, no, 2 sessions ago. We just finished the Warlocks. So all the subclasses for the Barbarian, Fighter, Monk, Rogue that are in the 2024 Player's Handbook are here. We did not have to modify any of the subclasses for the Warlock. So all we had to do is provide the scaffolding here, which we can then extract and then reformat this book so it's current with 2024. I'm just waiting to see if in November they have the original spell point system, if they still have it or not. If they don't have this in the DMG anymore, I'm just going to pull this page out and leave it be. If it is still in the book, then I'm going to drop this back into an appendix. As in, by the way, if you're interested in the official DMG spell point system, you can use it. Here's how it works. But for color mana, the way that it works is that when you cast a spell, like Fireball's a 3rd level spell, so you need 3 mana. 1 needs to be red, and the other 2 can be any color that you want. Whenever you finish a short or a long rest, regardless of how much mana you have at that time, assuming you have at least 1 point, you can devote any amount of mana to any color that you want. So you can reconfigure your mana pool every time your characters rest. So you have a pocket of mana, and mana is fantastic. We have some really cool mechanics about concentration and tapping mana like MTG to have multiple effects stacking. It's really cool. It works really well. I've been using it for 7 years. I ran through a full campaign from level 1 to 20, as well as multiple playtest scenarios. I'm also currently using it in a Curse of Strahd campaign as a Selune sorcerer, a divine sorcerer, worshiper of Sune, Selune, who is a moon goddess in Forgotten Realms. So he uses white and green mana which is like Selesnya flavor for MTG enthusiasts, which is incredibly on point with like Spirit Natures and Moon Radiance. It's a perfect fit. So all the spells that I want are white and green spells like Radiant Bolt, Bless, Cure Wounds, Web. They all just fold naturally into the white and green color system, color identities. So all my mana is just white and green. Super fun. I have a few episodes on Spell Point Sorcerers where I've been building that out. We'll publish that after we resolve the rest of the stuff that's in the DMG that's coming out next month. So super cool stuff, super fun. We've got the Warrior of the Element for the monks. So everyone uses that short rest mana, but the martial characters can generate up even if you only have 2 short rests and a long rest per day. That would normally only be 60 mana at 20th level, right? But we have means of being able to double the amount of mana that you use by giving up action economy during combat. Give up your movement, it's worth a point. Give up an attack during your attack action, that's worth a point each. Give up your bonus level, your bonus action, and it starts off as worth 1 mana. It eventually becomes worth 2, and then in the 5th tier, in first tier it's worth 1 point. 3rd tier is worth 2 points. Fifth in the 4th tier it's worth 5 points. So like at level 1, I think it's level 1. Yeah, level 1, 9, and 17. There you go. That's at level 1 it's 1 point. At level 9 it's 2 points. At level 17 it's 3 points. So if I were a fighter with 4 attacks at level 20, I could give up 3 attacks. I could give up my bonus action for 3 more mana, and I can give up my movement. I can generate 7 points of mana for free during my round to spend on 1 attack. So that's a great thing for a 20th level character, like a 20th level fighter, to be able to do stuff like that. So there you go. It fuels paladin smites more easily. All sorts of fun stuff. So the Warlock works. We fixed all our invocations for learning power. And so you can learn powers, and you can either take Eldritch Power, which is either one of the exploits, maneuvers, or reactions at the level that you can use it, and the rank of power that you gain as a result of it. So like a Warlock's like a half caster, like a half channeler in the martial power system when they gain levels. If they have any levels, they can multi-class, and those levels will stack with any martial character that they're building, if they have invocations that channel power. Otherwise, they're just spellcasters like usual, or use their normal invocations. But we don't need to change anything in the subclasses because they all still work with the color mana system. And we're not doing a hard conversion on the Warlock because the Warlock is in the player's handbook. It's staying a spellcaster that can bend into powers using invocations. Each invocation is worth a power. Either just a general power, reaction, maneuver, or reaction, exploit, maneuver, or reaction. Otherwise, Eldritch Strike, which requires Pact of the Blade. You can access any strike power, and you don't have access to sustained powers because Warlock already has spells to concentrate on. So you just use the stacking concentration system that we have for the color mana, where at like a 19th level Warlock has 10 levels that they can cast. So if you are able to concentrate on up to 10 levels worth of spells, either a 10th level spell that you cast to instant cast a concentration spell off of a list somewhere, or like for example, you could concentrate on 2 Big B's fists at the same time. So your character can box with 2 Big B fists. And that would take 5 levels, and 5 levels, that'd be 10 levels of concentration. But the catch is your concentration check ramps. The DC of your concentration is 10 plus the number of levels of mana that you're currently maintaining. So maintaining 2 Big B fists at 19th level gives you a base concentration DC of 20. Here's the kicker. Whatever half the damages that you take, if it's more than 20, that becomes your DC for your concentration check for constitution check. But if you have to make a saving throw any other way, it also counts towards your concentration. So if I have to make a dexterity saving throw to avoid damage from, or rather, like if I get hit with a Ray of Frost cantrip, and I have to make a dexterity saving throw or be slowed 10 feet this round, if I don't roll a 20 on my dexterity, even if I pass the saving throw and not get slowed, if I don't hit 20 on my dexterity saving throw, all my mana gets dumped. So you're like, Phil, you get so much mana when you use spell points. Aren't you concerned about spamming? It's like, no, because in the level 1 to 20 campaign I finished in February, it ran for 5 years using color mana. And our druid was our full caster. We had a druid, a ranger, arcane trickster, and a paladin. And the druid was paranoid about maintaining any mana that she knew she couldn't at least roll an 11 on the saving throws and make it die. Like, if I have to roll more than 11 on this 20-sided die to be able to hit a saving throw, I'm not going to maintain that many spells unless I can guarantee I'm not going to get tagged just by a random ping in combat. Like, even getting a net thrown on you can force a saving throw. Grapple checks now force saving throws. So if you're concentrating on spells and I grapple you, you can use these rules to fuck up people's concentration. So concentration becomes incredibly fragile unless your team uses good tactics to prevent the casters from being hit by stuff. So your tanks now really need to tank, which is awesome because we have a lot of really cool tanking mechanics in this game. As reactions to people trying to move, you can end all their movement. There's goading strikes and taunts that force them to attack you until they succeed an intelligence saving throw. They can't attack anyone else. So there's a lot of really cool stuff you can stack on like that. Knock people prone and then hit them with an opportunity attack on their way down. There's gravity effects that as a maneuver that if you pop a few points of like the big bad evil guy, you can trap the big bad evil guy. If he fails a dexterity saving throw, he gets trapped in an Odolix telekinetic bubble. Or you could target your wizard with a telekinetic bubble and lock them inside. They're already maintaining concentration, so they're okay. Lock them in a bubble, but that's going to eat 4 of your mana to lock them in their bubble like that. So, because they might not be able to afford to bubble themselves, you want to be able to target them with bubbles. And this doesn't. You can choose to fail the saving throw if you want to, and it can end any time that you want if you're sustaining it for yourself. So, fun stuff, super fun stuff. Hey, what's up? What's up, Ross? I'm kind of ranting about the martial power system right now, but that's my prerogative. So I've just been walking through what these mechanics are and like what the motivation behind it is and why are we doing this in the first place. And so we finished the Warlock 2 sessions ago, and on Tuesday at lunchtime, we built out the scaffold using the 2014 Artificer rules, or the, I guess, 2019, was it 2019 Tasha's? I don't remember when Tasha came out. Anyway, she was in there along with Keith Baker writing it up. So the scaffold for the Artificer is done. We fixed the infusions are good, cantrips are good, our mana stacking is good. Prep powers we've standardized to be 15, and our short rest mana, because Artificer is a half caster just like the Ranger and the Paladin. We switch all of the characters over to short rest. So that everyone's on the same pace. You can have 2 battles and eat all of your mana in those 2 battles. Take a short rest as just a breather, and then you can pop all your mana back on, and then everyone can run out again. So you can divorce your characters. I advocate for full casters to use the Warlock structure. Just use your character like normal, but you have your short rest mana for levels 1 to 5. And then when you get to level 6 and higher, then you get your long rest mana here, like I was talking about earlier. So you could have our druid from level 1 to 20 ran as a warlock because the ranger and the paladin were using short rest mana, and the rogue was using short rest mana because we were already testing the system. So she's like, I want to be on board too. So we made her a warlock, and she just used up all her invocations to be able to buff her wild shape form. She could use reactions and sustain powers and stuff while she was in a wild shape. So that gave us a lot of really cool ideas about like adapting your body to be able to morph around and sustain the effect and like gain advantages when you're crawling, or like to be able to change how you can fly and climb and different things you can do with that, which we have scattered throughout the powers that are here. And if you haven't looked at the document yet, I will direct you again here for anyone that's watching. Here in my description, it says Martial Powers playtest content. It's on my Patreon. All you gotta do is click the Martial Powers button, and it gives you the entire document that I'm working on as a read-only Google Doc for you. Everything, like what I do here is I make games, I illustrate them, and then I publish them. This one will be on DMsGuild. So it'll be part of the Color Mana Spell Point variant rule system that I created. And here's all the books to that, which are also linked down here. So Spell Point Warlocks, we'll have Spell Point Sorcerers and Spell Point Artificers. We're going to update the core mechanics to be current with 2024. Knights and Tricksters are going to get updated for the Eldritch Knight and the Arcane Trickster. And then we'll update just the universal spell points in general. Once all that's updated, then we'll add on Spell Point Sorcerers, which I've been streaming, and we're working on Spell Point Artificers literally right now. So you can check my different playlists. We built all the art for Spell Point Warlocks here on stream. We do walkthroughs of different books. This spell point system that we're building right now, this is our 167th episode. I've been streaming it pretty much from, I just collected a bunch of stuff. Like here's different things that martial characters can do. Let's build a spell point system around it, and that's where we started. So you can check all that out at episode 1 and see all the iterations and the revisions that we made from playtesting and tightening it down and fixing the language and getting rid of all the bubbles in it. So yeah, right on. Oh no shit, nice man. Warforged is so fucking cool. In my campaign, I'll geek out for a second. In my campaigns, the docents, like the little AI, little artifact balls that you find in Zindric. In my campaign, these docents is where the soul and the intelligence of the Warforged are actually kept. So, and that's just inserted into them, like either into the back of the head or where their heart is, and you can swap those out. So in the Kaiju Mecha book that I've been building off of my Spelljammer system. It's built. It's for anyone can pilot mecha and run around and stuff, but it really shines when you take a little docent and you plug it into like a tiny little ornithopter machine, so you can have like little tiny robots running around that have full sentience and character capabilities, and you can drop them into like small dog frames or like small size scout robots, or you can put them into 500-foot war Goliaths, and you have like maybe 50 different docent that are plugged into different AI systems. In our Warforged campaign that I was talking about earlier, they took over a Warforged facility, and it was ran by a collective of 9 AI that were basically just docents that were plugged into slots, and they had to fight through the defenses while having a diplomatic. It was a diplomatic challenge. They were trying to find ways to get them to stop fighting because the war is over. They didn't know the war was over, so they thought it was an enemy trying to trick them. So they had to convince the AI every time they go into these bunkers. This is a rescue mission. We're not trying to hurt you. We're trying to take you out of this place and give you purpose. And they had to convince the AIs to do that while they're fighting all the turrets and all the machinery and the robots and stuff that were built to defend the facility. And when they defeat the AI, that facility became part of their resources, like their own little bastions, as it were. So they just kept going around and collecting more and more munitions until they had an army of Warforged. And it's like, okay, let's do some action. And the campaign ensues. War. And I'm a big war enthusiast, so I like using battle systems. Yeah. It was super fun. And the players I play with are like that. I've cultivated my players over years, and the ones that I love playing the most with when I have the chance are the type of people that want to help people in the game world, even though there's NPCs, whatever. They're always looking for like who's being unfair, what can we do to bash them into place, who's under hard times that we can easily fix their life for. Then as they gain power, they look for bigger and bigger problems to tackle, and they just apply all their player character focused resources into it and just change the world. It's super fucking inspiring. Those are the type of people I like to be around, and I find them at gaming tables. So all my bestest friends in my life has always been people that I was proud to play D&D with, because I knew that whatever it is that we're doing, they legitimately want to see what can I do to make the world better, because they take that outside of the game into the real world. It's awesome. God, people are so cool. Anyway, I'm all over the place today. Don't mind me. We have the Warlock built out. That's cool. So yeah. I mean, like using the system, any full caster can be a Warlock. So I'll eventually make a book like Oops All Warlocks, and then I'll just provide a scaffold for all of the full casters to instead use Warlocks, so everyone can always be on a short rest resource, so the entire game tempos together. It's like at that point you can be like, yeah, let's take 10 minutes. I'm going to give you a short rest for that, because that's what the DM wants to do. when everyone's on that same tempo, it could be an hour, it could be 5 hours, it could be 5 minutes, it could be just take a quick breath. All right, let's get back into it. And any one of those, the DM could decide is a short rest. So you can, when everyone's on the same system like that, you can just respawn mechanics, really respawn resources just like that. And then it doesn't matter if you've had a long day or not. So you can have like 7 or 8 short rests in a single day. Spend 4 sessions just slogging through a labyrinth of enemies if you want to like really Diablo it, or Path of Exile. You can just slog through hordes of minions just burning through mana. Whenever the crowd's clear, and while you're looting the place, take a short rest, get your mana back. Here comes the next wave, and just punch your way through a random dungeon. So super fucking fun stuff. Super fun stuff. So yeah, that's my dissertation about Warlocks are the absolute best full caster chassis in the game. We went through the Artificer. We cleaned up the things that needed to get fixed. We're looking at variant subclasses right now, and we have infusions. So we're going to go down to subclasses. We have these infusions. I need to review these infusions, but I'm going to hold off on infusions until... Can I say infusions one more time, asshole? Infusions. So we're going to do infusions after we look at the subclasses. Subclasses. Since the Artificer isn't in the 2024 book, we are at liberty to redesign the subclasses to be built around the mechanics of martial powers, so that the Artificer is a true hybrid between spellcasting and channeling power. So, hey, what's up? Is that a battle where some NPCs made a killing corridor where the players could participate? The Thrall Horde added in a plant growth spell to further slow down. Hey, nice, man. Yeah, slow them down so you can deal with the wave as they come through. It's just classic shit, man. Super good times. Super good times. I love it. Subclasses. Yeah, I know, right? What a just so sad. Oh my god. Hold on. Aberon. I just realized Keith published a new book, and I don't know if he has I don't know if he revised the. Nope. I need to find out. Did he actually update it there? I might have to buy this real quick. Artificer is not mentioned on this page. It's possible that they didn't update it because god, is there no free preview? God, guys, you guys are the worst. Some classes, yeah, they don't even mention Artificer. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Nope, Artificer, Artif. Okay, well they didn't revise it, so I don't need to build it. Cheers. I'm going through my first D&D campaign as an Artificer, and I find there have been... Oh, hey, man, how you doing? Going through your first D&D campaign as an Artificer, and I find there have been a lot of levels where my only thoughts while leveling up are roll a hit die for hit points. Level 9 at the moment. Oh, you're... Because the options that you have available to you are so obvious that there's no real counterplay. Like the best choice is the only choice scenario. Because I mean, level 9 third level spells, there's a lot of potential variety there. I don't understand that experience because I'm playing a 5th level Artificer. It's a Kobold Rakdos Artificer Battlesmith who rides on the back of his mechanized hyena. So, but I struggle every level with what invocations do I want to have available to me? Which ones am I going to build today? I really strain over how am I going to help my team stay alive? Because if I make the wrong choice, I could cost lives, and that's something I get paranoid about. Which is why I don't like playing a lot. I like to DM because I really get stressed out about if I miss something, my team is going to suffer for it. So I'm like really, really hard on myself when I play. I am the worst. Hey, what's up? Oh, right on, my guy. See you later. Thanks. Not that I feel they're weak, but it'd be nice to spread it out some more. Not that I feel they're weak. So you just don't think there's enough variety in what the class offers for you to, or do you think it's just not pacing damage properly? I'm curious. I'm legitimately curious about this. And while I hope that you have a fun conversation with me, I will dig into the subclasses. And Ross, I really appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Okay, so we're looking at the, we're going to start with the Alchemist, of course. So I'm going to go up here, let's go upstream and grab features. There, that's enough. That's enough of formatting to grab and drag. Class features, Artificer, Subclasses. Blip. And this shall be known as Artificer. Nope. Alchemist. Let's drop on down to the other side. This is font 11. This, therefore, will be font 13. There. Alchemist. Power list. Sorry, level 8, haven't gotten level 9 yet, my bad, but I believe 3 levels so far have had nothing like... Oh, I see what you're saying. I see. Got it. Because you weren't gaining any new spell levels, it's not like you had a lot to debate there. And there was no real feat progression because there isn't. It's like maybe 1 feat. And if you're going to spend on ASI, there's no deliberation there, so there you go. I see where you're coming from. Yeah. There's a lot of same that can happen inside that space. I agree. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's take a step back real quick, because I honestly don't know if you've been around here before or not, or if you know what I got going on or not. But we're going to be... hold on. Let me see. I gotta go back to our document. Let's go reference our Warlock real quick. Prep spells is 15. I want to double check that. Because they get 15, plus they get the 9. Hold on real quick. I'm only thinking half thoughts because my brain is kicking through the processes I need to do here real quick. First off, let's check our spell levels. 15 at 20. Okay, that's cool. We're gonna stay like that. Then they get the Mystic Arcanum. They get 4 here. We give them 5 because 19th level is Wish. 19th level gives you 10th level spell. The only 10th level spell equals Wish, so you technically get that as well. So that's 5 plus 5 here. That's 20. And then you have 10 invocations. And with this system, each invocation can be a power that you gain. So like spend an invocation, gain a power at the half casting progression. So a 13th level Warlock has 8 invocations. You can have 8 4th rank powers if you want to spend your mana on that instead of spells. So you'd be able to match between those two things. So a character could have a total of 30 spells or powers, 30 things to spend mana on over the course of a Warlock's 20 levels. So I want to make sure that the Artificer has the same amount of depth. Somewhere between 23 and 30 is where I want them to be. And then on top of that, the Warlock gets 10 subclass spells. So they actually end up with 40 spells, which is about where all the other full casters get to after you take subclasses into account. And if you take a Strixhaven or a Ravnica background, it gets to 50. It's an insane amount of spells that your character ends up packing in 5e. It's a little nuts. But resources are resources, so we want to make sure that we're pacing same in fairs. So we have the Artificer. The Artificer has... Checking. Please wait. There we go. 12? Oh, those are infusions. Got it. Oh, that's right. It's half your level plus your intelligence modifier equals 15. That's how I got the 15. Okay, and then there's 12 infusions, all of which can be powers if you want. They don't have to be magic items, whatever's on the list. We have the create magic, create power items with the infusions, so you can have up to 12 of those, but you can only use 6 at a time. So 15 plus 6 equals 21. Let's see where the rest of the team is at, because everyone only gets 10 subclass things. So that would put them at 21. And the marshals, they end up with 23. But those 23 include weapon masteries and fighting styles, because weapon masteries and fighting styles are powers you can learn as though they were cantrips. So you can pick them up out of those 23. You also get as many fighting styles as you want to pay for, as many feats as you want to pay for. You don't get the stat bonus, but you don't have the prerequisites either. So as long as it's on the list of feats that we have down below, you could, instead of spending mana, you could just have feats, weapon masteries, and fighting styles, which are also now feats. So, but you can easily flesh out 23 options with those stuff without actually having to ever use mana. Or you could just take sustained powers, which is when you tap your mana, they stay on until you take a long rest, or they get dispelled, or you turn them off. So you could, like, you got 10 points of mana, you could just, well, you wouldn't be able to spend it on, because at, like, say, 9th level, you could have up to 3 ranks of power active at the same time, whether it's 3 first level, a second level, and a first level, or a third level / rank level, whatever, power. You can sustain that, and it stays on until it gets dispelled, until you take a long rest, or you choose to turn it off. So that would only need 3 out of your 9 mana, but you'd be sustaining everything you can sustain. So you could have just feats, sustained powers, which means you don't have to worry about spending any more mana. You just turn them on, and if you get dispelled, turn them on again. If you get dispelled, turn them on again, and you can do that 3 times until you take your next short rest and do it again. So once you turn on, these are basically like it's like haste. You permanently turn on haste. There you go. That'll eat up 3 levels of your sustained powers, but now you permanently made your character hasted. So super effective. You're not casting on somebody else, you're casting on yourself. So you sustain it for yourself. That's the only thing you'd be able to add on. But that puts you at 9th level, that kind of makes you start to catch up with what these other characters can do. So anyway, there you go. You're basically getting the concentration effects of a wizard for you. And the wizard then gets freed up to do more stuff for themselves, because you can self-sustain yourself with that haste spell, for instance. You've effectively become a 5th level wizard on top of everything else that you can do right now, and there's no chance of failing your concentration. So 23 plus feats and shit. That probably puts them. They get the 2 weapon masteries. On average, you get 2 weapon masteries, and then you get a fighting style. That's 3. That puts you at 20. So we get the 6 invocations. We want to get them to 20. So 6 invocations, 15 spells. Okay, there you go. So the Artificer is good. Artificers will be able to pick up and use any power. The Warlock can't access sustained powers. They have to concentrate on persistent effects. But we don't have to worry about that. We're allowing the Artificer to not do that. If they create an infusion that holds a sustained power for them. You can also create mana stones that hold mana. They become mana batteries. You just literally condense mana out of the world into a crystal, and you can shatter the crystal at any time to get that mana back. Or you can drop it into a machine as a battery to power it up, equal to your proficiency bonus, basically. Starts at 2nd level, you can get 2 mana, and by 17th level, you can get up to 6 mana per crystal. And you can create 6 crystals, so at 17th level, you could have an extra 36 mana in the form of a shitload of mana stones that you can either gobble up yourself or you can hand them out to your friends to help them replenish if you want. But then you wouldn't have any powers available, but you could sure cast the fuck out of a bunch of spells. So it's a really fun give and take to be able to build those things out. But we also allow the Artificer to have sustained powers. So, what was it? Yeah, celerity. That's what we call it. While sustaining its power, you gain the following benefits: your movement speed doubles, you gain +2 to your armor class, advantage on dexterity saves from sources that you can see, and you gain a bonus action that you can make a weapon attach or take the dash, dodge, or disengage action. And then celerity does not stack with haste or similar effects. But there's like how many of these are there? There's like 30, I want to say. 33 sustained powers from anywhere from 1 to 4 mana to sustain it. So we cap all the powers at 13th level with only 4 mana, because an Arcane Trickster and Eldritch Knight only go up to 4th level spells. So when we're building this out, we're like, it would be weird if you could spend 5 mana on powers, but only be able to have an Eldritch Knight spin up to 4th level. I don't want to give them 5th level spells. So instead, because it gets just too many resources, they're just too good as marshals to give them 5th level spells. So we cap them at 4. And so that means that a martial character can get access to 4th rank powers at 13th level, but overclock and use up to 5 mana at 17th. So even though you have access to everything you should have access to by 13th, at 17th level, it gets just that much better because you put more mana into it. Anyway, like paladins get pretty crazy. So that works. So that means that we have the proper amount of spells, the amount of infusions are okay. This is all good. So the Artificer should have a list of bonus spells that are available to them. I think there's text. What's up? Is mana and such power of part of the new system? Just so I understand. Oh, God, you don't know what color mana is. Okay. The color mana spell point variant rules are on DMsGuild. All of my books are 100% preview, so you can read all of them. Hold on. The preview button is missing. Why is it? Okay, I can't give shit to. I cannot give any shit to Keith Baker now for not having a free preview button, because there's supposed to be a free preview button. Let's check without an identity. Yeah, it's currently. Oh, that sucks. All my books are free preview. Like, you can read all of them, and then you decide if you want to buy them. I'm kind of sad about that. Let's go open up a book real quick for you to get educated here. Hold on. Color mana spell points, revised. Spell point sorcerers, promo, mindscape, martial powers, collaborations, command, Pacts and patrons, spell point warlocks. I don't. Oh, there it is. Revised color mana spell point variant rules. Okay, so if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, it's a color mana system: white, blue, black, red, green. If you want to throw a fireball, you need red mana. If you want to cast Big B's Fist, you'll need white, blue, or red mana. So we have all the spell, and then like here's the different aspects of what color is. Like you can agree with these or not. We're gonna revise them. But like healing magic is white and green, divinity and light and protection is a white sort of thing, while green is like animals, healing, and spirits. But black is like control, not protection or restraint. It's entropy instead of healing. It's fear instead of protection, and it's soul magic instead of divinity or spirits. And then darkness instead of light. So white and black are very much opposites of each other. But like if we go down to like say 3rd level spells Revivify, you'll see that Revivify is white and black because divinity and your soul. So we could argue that we could give it to green because of spirits, but most of those spirits are like nature's spirits or elementals. So we left it out of green's pocket, leaving it only in the Orzhov colors. It's like very much so. Okay, good. So white and black, you can cast Revivify with either white or black mana. It's a 3rd level spell. You need 3 mana to cast it. 1 point needs to either be white or black. And the rest could be like blue or whatever else you want. And then whenever you take a short or long rest, no matter however much mana you have, you can reconfigure the color of all your mana. So if I stacked up green and blue in the beginning of the adventure because I thought I was going to do a bunch of outdoor stuff. And then we go into a dungeon. Maybe I switch over to flashbang, like maybe like white and red, so that I have protection and combat, more like damaging or like light spells and stuff like that for the dungeon space. If I'm a Rakdos character, like my Artificer is Rakdos, only black and red mana. So I would be able to naturally cast Revivified if it's on my spell list because I have black mana. And I'd naturally be able to cast Fireball because I have red mana because it's on my list. Elemental Weapon offers, any kind of elemental damage you want to deal, you can use with this spell. So you get access to it with white, blue, black, red, and green. So you can see up here the damages that you can do. White, blue, black, red, green. Red deals fire, force, lightning, and thunder damage. White does cold, force, psychic, radiant damage. Cold, force, psychic, thunder damage for blue. Acid, cold, poison, thunder for green. Black is acid, necrotic, poison, psychic. That lines up pretty good with like the narrative of Magic the Gathering cards. I looked at hundreds of them and was able to find this roughly works. Like for a good conversion system, like if you build a Golgari character, you're going to see a lot of acid and poison and necrotic stuff. And some force stuff. That makes sense for Golgari. So like this stuff generally works pretty good. It's not perfect, but I'm using 5th edition, so it works. So it's like, so for example, my Rakdos character has the Mending spell, but it's blue. How do I do that? I could either spend time and money to research it so that it's a red or a green, a red or a black spell if I want, or on the fly, I could learn. I could prepare it once because it's the Mending spell, but then I could prepare it a second time so that it's red instead. So I cast it as a red spell. It costs me an extra spell slot, but if I use it enough, when I go back to town, I'll spend time to research it to make it permanently red, so that I can just eat up one spell slot. It's a great way for me to test, do I want to spend time researching on spells or not? And I can stay true to my mana pool. I could decide, I'm going to spend 3 mana on this, and I'm going to cast Mending, but I'm just going to leave the spell points universal. Instead, I'm just going to say I cast it as a red spell. So there you go. You can just narrate it like that. Like, this is a necromancy spell. What does that mean to you? What does that look like? I don't know. Well, with the color mana system, I'm going to cast this black spell. It's gonna do black magic stuff, black mana stuff. Look at a couple hundred cards, you'll get the gist of it. And so I could pretend this Mending spell is using red or black mana if I wanted to, or I could be hard-nosed about it and actually require my mana to correspond with the spell that I want. So if I'm playing a Dominaria campaign and I have all 5 mana available to my character, I might have to have mana in all 5 colors, which means like I might only be able to cast 2 or 3 green spells before I'm out of green mana. So I was like, so it becomes a really fun second edition was like each spell slot put a specific spell in it, so you know specifically what you're going to cast today. And 5e got rid of all that. This is a way to bring that hard nose back into the game if you want to. If you're finding that being a spellcaster is too easy, challenge yourself by binding them to aspects of mana like this. And if you implement color mana into your game world, you now have a literal color narrative mechanic that describes the things that you see happening. So I can immediately tell that demon is Rakdos, or that creature of light over there has a lot of blue radiating with me. It must be from Mechanus, for example. So ideas like that, stuff like that, but couldn't find anything in the regular game. Cool, right on. Well, once the free preview buttons pop up, you can look through all these books. And if you want to support me, consider buying some of them. But you're welcome to play a full 20 level campaign with it first before you decide it's worth it. So, but that's how the system works. So this mana system is just open mana. And if you want to say you're a Rakdos character, then the mana that you spend, if you want to make it make strikes black mana and you want to make sustained powers red mana, you can do that. But the system will assume that you're just using generic mana, and if you're using a color or an elemental system or whatever, like if I'm an earthbender and I'm using the system, then I'm just going to say, yeah, whenever I spend mana, it does earth stuff. So it's all, I convert the narrative of all the powers that I use to be earthy. Or I could be like, yeah, I want to bend earth and water, so I would have earth effects, water effects, and then I could blend them together into a mud slurry. So like maybe like my hold person spell would be like I dump mud on you and then I pull all the water out of it, so it fuses into stone until you're able to crumble your way out of it with a successful saving throw. So color mana, earth magic, light and dark force, and if you're into triads, you could use hammer, rock, scissors, or you could use air. You could use water, wood, and fire. That's a good blend from 1980s cartoon toys. And there's also body, mind, and soul that you can split things up. But I have to build out the paradigm for the damage types and how each spell would slot into each of them. Unless you're just using a loose narrative system where I'm just going to use soul magic and my fireball is going to be soul magic that I'm hitting with fireball. As opposed to like mind math to create the fireball out of reality or whatever. So you can play with these magic paradigms in different ways with different depths of mechanical harshness, if that hard-nosed analogy is coming across. So, yeah, absolutely. Because you can take if you take 5 colors, you can blend them into 10 binaries. If you take 4 elements, you can blend them into I think it's 8. No, there's 6 variants inside of the elements. Like I can blend all 4 elements into 6 sub-elements. So then I could take like core elements like air, earth, fire, water, and then there's 6 variants in between, like lightning, mist, mud, magma, stuff like that. There's another one in there. I forget what it is. Ash? Soot. I think it's ash. Yeah, fire. Is it fire and earth? No, that's magma. God, what is it? Air and fire is lightning. Air and water is mist. Water and earth is mud. Water and air is mist. Water and fire is... Oh, that's right. Water and fire is steam. So there you go. So those are six para-elemental elements that you can get out of the 4 basic elements. So you have 10 schools of elements. And you could have if you want to have like blood bending, then you could have that be a variant off of any water school. So as long as you're using water mana, you would be able to figure out you could figure out blood bending if that's how you wanted to narrate it. So or you could use earth as chakra points, or like metal bending, why am I blanking her name? Yeah, I'm completely blanking her name right now. But tough, thank you, because it's tough. Thank you. But yeah, metal bending. So you can BS your way into little subcategories off of the main elements. But we'll build out the elemental system the same way as we did the 5-color system. It'll be easy, barely an inconvenience. And then you can have we can build all of our wizards. It could be like a water wizard, air wizard. We can even do things like divinity magic is usually only air magic, for instance, or something like that. If I wanted to, I wouldn't want to do that. I love elemental magic. I was a big Dark Sun enthusiast all through the 90s, and I kept the elemental system as my for about a decade. In 3rd edition, all of the gods in my campaign were the elemental princes in the inner planes, and it was all elemental gods. So if you had a passionate god, they were part of the fire domain. So going to the inner planes was more important to my characters than going to the outer planes, because all the stuff that they did was built around an elemental frame of reference. So super fun way to play. And it was really cool seeing the avatar come out like that. It was like, oh man, this is like my bread and butter, dude. Anyway, I'm way in the woods today. So let's see if I can salvage tonight. It's 7:10, so we can still get. I'll be back tomorrow at lunch doing this too. So I technically just won't ramble as much. This is kind of relaxation for me. So let's go into specialists. And then, okay, so they have the invocations first. Fuck you, whatever. There, Alchemist. Okay, cool. So we're going to just start building stuff out. Alchemist spells. There you go. Healing Word, Ray of Sickness, Flaming Sphere, Mouse Arrow, Gaseous Form, Mass Healing Word, Blight, Death Ward, Cloud Kill. No reason to change that. They're going to keep their spells. They already have a spell list built. Cool, let's give it to them. In some circumstances, like the Ranger had like 10 spells. Cool. Sometimes Ranger only had 5 spells, so we gave them 5 powers on top of it. And some Rangers don't get any spells, so we give them 10 powers. So no matter what, every class gets 10 bonus things. It's the only divide that exists between martial and spellcasters is that spellcasters get a replenishing resource to spend on ultra feats, and fighters and the marshals don't get enough feats to make it fair. So by building this mana system like this with the alternate spellcasting, you create a parallel system that spellcasters don't get access to. Like a wizard gets 0 levels of martial power. So you could have 80 points of mana in your pool, but you can't perform a single strike or sustain a single power. So it just don't have access to it. Just like a fighter can't cast Fireball at 9th level, but he can haste himself and then blap you with a life-stealing strike and deal 40 points of damage to you. So that's, tit for tat. So tool proficiencies. Let's go. So since we have a power list, we're good to go there. So I can blap that. Oh, you know what? While I'm here, I think I'm gonna replicate this because we have this, and we have the Battlesmith, and yeah, Battlesmith. It's funny how many of these things are named A's. So we'll go with Battlesmith down here. And then, what is it? The Artillerist here. The Armor. And the Alchemist. Okay, so the way that we build these books, so we're not allowed to just take whole cloth, entire pages from the player's handbook in DMG and add them to our books. We have to be less swindly. We steal less. So the way that I generally build these things is if the class feature, if we remove a class feature, it's not on the list anymore, and you don't use it with this system. If it's on this list, but it's not mentioned down here, it's not changed. Just reference your original source book, you're good to go. If it's on here and it's detailed down here, it's been changed. And whatever that change is makes it okay for me to be able to publish it because I'm changing the rules that are in the player's handbook. I'm offering something different, so I can do that. So in this instance, I only really had to explain here that in subclasses, that if an ability from a subclass were to be, you can get it back with a spell slot, the number of mana that you use is equal to the maximum level spell you can cast when you get that power. So if I get an ability at 3rd level that lets me use this thing again if I spend a spell slot, then I only have to spend 1 mana and I can do it again. But if I am, say, 17th level and I can do this thing, then I would be at 17th level, I could cast up to 5th level spells as a half caster. So for me to be able to use that thing again, I would have to spend 5 mana. And this is true because in the new 2024 Player's Handbook, the Paladin Oath Aura at 20th level, you can use it again by spending a 5th level spell slot. So on point. That's very, very on point. So this is very easy. That was literally the only change we had to make to the Artificer's base scaffold, was when you see a subclass using something that can be replenished with a spell slot, the spell slot's equal to whatever the spell level was that they'd be able to cast at that level. So there you go. Anyway, pontificating. So we have our subclasses. So now we get to go down into the subclasses, and if nothing changes about that subclass option, we leave it out so that we don't, so we maintain our rules within the DM's Guild. So level 1, we have tools. I'm just going to add a level 1 tools, tool proficiency. I might not change this at all, but I'm just getting to the swing of things. So here I am. I think you have some text there. Let me catch up and see what I got going on here first. An alchemist is an expert in combining reagents to produce mystical effects. Alchemists use their creatures to give life and to leech it away. Alchemy is the oldest. Blah. Okay. You gain proficiency in alchemist supplies. If you're already proficient with this, you gain proficiency in one other. Okay, I don't need that. Alchemist spells, don't need that. Experimental elixir. Let's see if we need to change. Let me catch up real quick, see if we need to change this. Hey, right on, my guy. Get out of here. Cool. And then I'll be back on. I'll be back probably at 1:30 Seattle time, which will be 4:30 East Coast. I'll be streaming. I'll continue with this tomorrow at lunch for about an hour or so. I probably got about another 40 minutes left in me right now. So we'll get through a couple of these. Maybe we'll get into the infusions. Whatever we don't get to, we'll start tomorrow at lunch. And once we get through those, then we'll drop down to the power gear, the magic item options that we have for creating magic gear. So anyway, I will see you on the other side, my guy. And so experimental elixirs. We might not have to change anything here. We'll see if we do. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can magically produce an experimental elixir in an empty flask you touch. Roll on the experimental elixir table for the elixir's effect, which is triggered when someone drinks the elixir. As an action, a creature can drink the elixir or administer it to an incapacitated creature. As an action, okay, we have things that allow you to do actions as item interactions like this, so that'll be good. You can create additional experimental elixirs by expending a spell slot of first level or higher for each one, which means since we get this at third level, that'd be 1 point of mana that you'd have to spend. When you do so, you use your action to create the elixir in an empty flask you touch. You choose the elixir's effect from the experimental elixir table. Creating an experimental elixir requires you to have the alchemist supplies on your person, and any elixir you create with this feature lasts until it is drunk, and until it's drunk, and until the end of your next long rest. When you reach certain levels in the class, you can make more elixirs at the end of a long rest. 2 at 6th level, 3 at 5th level. You can make more elixirs at the end of a long rest. Oh, okay, you can make 1 at long rest, and then you have to spend mana. 2 at 6th level and 3 at 15th level. Roll for each elixir's effect separately. Each elixir requires its own flask. So we're going to check. We're just going to do a quick check here to see how powerful this stuff is. The drinker gains a number of hit points equal to 2d4 plus intelligence modifier. Okay. It has to stay weak because it's only worth 1 mana. Resilience plus 1 armor class, that's fine. Drinker can roll a d4 and add number of rolls to every attack roll and saving throw they make for the next minute. Okay. Flight. The drinker gains a flying speed of 10 feet for 10 minutes. 10 feet, 10 minutes? Okay. Transformation. The drinker's body is transformed as if by the first level alter self spell. Oh, it's 2nd level. Oh my. The drinker determines the transmutation caused by the effect of which lasts. The drinker determines the effects of which lasts for 10 minutes. Okay. I don't have a reason. I don't have a reason to change these. I'm gonna see how the rest of the class plays out to see if we want to mess around with the experimental elixirs by making like mana effects. You develop masterful command of magical chemicals, enhancing the healing and damage you create through them whenever you cast a spell using your alchemist supplies as the spell casting focus. You gain a bonus to 1 roll of the spell. That roll must restore hit points or be a damage roll that deals. You develop masterful command of magical chemicals, enhancing that deals acid, fire, necrotic, or poison damage, and the bonus equals your intelligence modifier minimum +1. You developed whenever you cast a spell. Oh, I see. That heals or damages, and the damage types are these. Enhancing the healing Whenever you cast a spell, okay, got it. So whenever you're spending mana, ooh. Whenever you cast a spell, yeah, I'm good with that. Neat. Restorative reagents. You can incorporate restorative reagents into some of your work. Whenever you create drinks, whenever a creature drinks an experimental elixir you create, the creature gains temporary hit points equal to 2d6 plus intelligence. Temporary hit points, I'm fine with that. This is 9th level, that's fine. Whenever a creature drinks an experimental elixir, it gains temporary hit points on top of whatever else. You can cast Lesser Restoration without spending a spell slot and without preparing the spell, provided you use alchemical supplies as a spellcasting focus. You can do so a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I love that. That's great. I don't have any reason to change that either. So yeah, I might not need to change any of this stuff. You have been exposed to so many chemicals that they pose little risk to you, and you can use them to quickly end certain ailments. You gain resistance to acid and poison. You are immune to the poison condition. You can cast Greater Restoration and heal without preparing it as long as you're using your alchemical supplies. Once you cast either spell of this feature, you can't cast that spell with it again until you finish a long rest. Okay, Chemical Mastery, finally. Level 3. Nope. Yep, level 3. What? Yep. When you can create additional elixirs by you can expend 1 mana to create an additional elixir. The feature otherwise remains as written in Tasha. Why is that a why is that oh, is that 2 eyes? Thank you. Experimental elixir. Let's go to the what was this one? What? Level 15. Chemical Mastery. What do you get? You get Restoration and Heal. Ooh, God, heals. Wow. Okay, long rest 6. Okay, that's fine. Greater Restoration. 5th level. Heal. I want to cast it once. I want to give. I'm thinking I want to give you a. The rules that we have is that it would cost 5 mana, but it's a higher level spell than that. Greater Restoration is 5, so that jives. But 15th level is only 4 mana because you haven't hit 5th level yet. So this is out curving what it should be. And Heal, as a 6th level spell, you would normally only have, using the mana system, you'd only have access to it once a day unless you had a 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th level spell slot that you wanted to spend on it as well. So I actually think I have to skip this because it's breaking the constraints of the game, and I don't want to set a precedence that says you can do this. It just doesn't feel right. But so we're adding on a feature here to expand on the experimental elixirs. Advanced experiments. You can create an elixir that duplicates the effects of a spell you have prepared. The effects of a concentration spell you have prepared. The amount of mana you have prepared, expending 1 mana for every level of spell used this way. Whoever drinks the elixir maintains concentration of the spell. It is otherwise as written. There, it maintains there you go. Whoever drinks it maintains concentration. Really easy. New feature. This is in addition to restorative agents. Cool, that's good. That finishes that as well. So, cool. Let's look at the armorer. Armorer might have more things. Armorer. Tools of the trade. You gain proficiency with heavy armor. You also gain proficiency with smith's tools. If you already got it, pick something else. Armor spells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool. Arcane armor. Your metallurgic pursuits have led you to making armor a conduit of your magic. As an action, you can turn a suit of armor you are wearing into arcane armor, provided you have smith's tools in hand. You gain the following benefits while wearing this armor. If the armor normal has a strength requirement, the arcane armor doesn't. You can use the arcane armor as a spellcasting focus for your artificer spells. That's nice. The armor attaches to you and can't be removed against your will. It also expands to cover your entire body. Although you can retract or deploy the helmet as a bonus action, the armor replaces any missing limbs functionally identically to a limb it replaces. This would, by the way, resolve anyone in a wheelchair. If you are paralyzed, and you were capable of adventuring, you would beeline to level 3 armorer immediately. So you can just strap on your power armor and take a walk. You could say that you're quadriplegic when the armor falls away, but I mean that's flavor text at that point. It doesn't impact your day, and you can still, be a quadriplegic if you want to. The armor attaches to you. You can doff or don the armor as an action. That's actually really important because there's rules about raging, like a barbarian raging, that it gets canceled when you don armor, and then you have to doff it to be able to rage again. That's and then everyone's like, you can't don armor in like a minute or whatever. And it's like, well, these guys can do it in a single round, and there's magical common effects, I believe, that allow you to don an armor as a single action. So you through subclass and items, you can violate those rules. So it's not the class features, it's not the core rules that matter, it's the exceptions that are created by the magic items and spells and class features that exist in the game, where all the caveats really come out. So you got to pay attention to that stuff. Armor model, third. Okay, so we can create arcane armor, and now we can also have an armor model. That's like a non-feature, but we're going to let it slide. It should be part of the arcane armor feature overall, but we will let it slide. You can customize your arcane armor. When you do so, choose one of the following armor models: Guardian or Infiltrator. The model you choose gives you specific benefits while you wear it. Each model includes a special weapon. When you attack with that weapon, you can add your intelligence modifier instead of your strength and dexterity to the attack and damage roll. You can change the armor's model whenever you finish a short or long rest, provided that you have smith tools in hand. You can customize your armor. When you do so, choose one. Each model includes a special weapon. Guardian. Oh, okay, special weapon based on Guardian weapon. You design your armor. You get the Thunder Gauntlet as your weapon. It deals D8 thunder damage on a hit. A creature hit by the gauntlet has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you. Defensive field. As a bonus action, you gain temporary hit points equal to your level in this class, replacing any temporary hit points you already have. We already know that. You'll lose temporary hit points if you doff the armor. Okay. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I'm fine with that sitting as is. And it does D8 thunder damage. I think these things deal more damage in the future, right? You change your armor's model, armor type, feature. In addition, the maximum number of items you can infuse at once increases by 2, but those extra items must be part of your arcane armor. Oh, I like that. That's super cool. So you can build mana crystals directly into your helmet now. That's choice. Perfected armor. When a huge size creature, blah de blah. You can use reaction. Infiltrator. Dim light, 5-foot radius. Okay. D8 damage. Okay, these things don't require any mana to do any of this stuff. Yeah, you'd be able to use strikes through the Thunder Gauntlets, so you could empower your Thunder Gauntlets with strike powers and let Bob become your uncle. That's good. Lightning Launcher. A gem-like node appears on your fist or on your chest, your choice. It counts as a simple ranged weapon with a normal range of 90 feet and a long range of 300 feet, and it deals D6 lightning damage on hit. Ranged weapon. Once on each of its turns. So you could also use Lightning Launcher with strike powers, but you would have to take the ranged skirmisher power, which you could infuse into your armor if you wanted to. Extra attack is fine. Armor modifications. just want to make it. I think it's worth noting. You can use your innate, built-in, each model includes a special weapon, armor model. This is where we should be at. Armor model. When you hit with your special weapon, give me that back. Thank you. While sustaining the ranged skirmisher power. With your lightning blip, lightning launcher. Your with your thunder gauntlets. Class is otherwise unchanged. There we go. I think that's the only thing we need to do. You can see in 30 feet, you can use your reaction to magically force it to make a saving throw against your spell save DC on a failed save. You pull that creature up to 25 feet directly to an unoccupied space. If you pull the target to a space within 5 feet of you, you can make a melee weapon attack against it as part of this reaction. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. 15th level, 4 mana. It's only a pull power. That's worth, honestly, that's worth 3 mana. Infiltrate, it's 25 feet, and it's an attack. Yeah, that sounds like 3rd rank to me. Any creature you take that takes lightning damage from your lightning launcher glimmers with magical light until the start of your next turn. The glimmering creature sheds dim light in a 5-foot radius, and it has disadvantage on attack rolls against you as the light jolts it if it attacks you. In addition, the next attack roll against it has advantage, and if that attack hits, target takes an extra d6 lightning damage. Oh, and that's every time you do it. Okay, I don't think I need to change that. I'm good with both of those. 70. All right, we'll work on formatting later. Not important right now. Armor ore is done, and then artillery. How are we doing on time? 7:41. Okay, we still got 20 minutes. Let's keep at it. I've got more bookwork to do for Eberron tonight, so I can't be on stream all night long, but it sure is fun to do this. So tell you what, we're going to finish. Yeah, no. Let's just see if we can get through these. As artillerists specialize in using magic to hurl energy projectiles and explosions on a battlefield. This destructive power is valued by armies in the wars of many different worlds and blah blah blah. Tool proficiency, woodcarver tools. Oh, okay. Spells 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool. 18. Eldritch Cannon. You've learned how to create a small magical cannon using woodcarver tools or smith tools. To magically create a small or tiny Eldritch Cannon, an unoccupied space on a horizontal surface within 5 feet of you. A small Eldritch Cannon occupies that space, and a tiny one can be held in one hand. Once you create a cannon, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest or until you expend a spell slot to create a new one. Eldritch Cannon, level 3. New turret. Or until you expend a spell slot to create one. You can have only one cannon at a time and can't create one while your cannon is present. Cannon is a magical object, regardless of size, has blah, blah. If the bending spell is cast on it, level 1, yes. Cantrip. Cantrip gives it 2d6 hit points. That's really fucking good. Okay, cool. When you create that cannon, you determine its appearance and blah. On each of your turns, you can take a bonus action to cause the cannon to activate if you are within 60 feet of it. As part of the same bonus action, you can direct the cannon to walk or climb up to 15 feet to an unoccupied space, provided it has legs. Exhales fire, 2d8 fire damage. Force, 2d8 force. Pushed up to 5 feet, 120 feet, 15 feet. Protector, burst of positive energy that grants itself and each creature of your choice within 10 feet of it a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus your intelligence modifier. Does this say that you can infuse it? Mending. Huh. Okay. Arcane Firearm. You know how to turn a wand, staff, or rod into a magical firearm, a conduit of your destructive spells. When you finish a long rest, you can use wood-covered tools to carve special sigils into a wand, staff, or wand, and thereby turn it into an arcane firearm. The sigils disappear from the object if you later carve them on a different item. These sigils otherwise last indefinitely. You can use your arcane firearm as a spellcasting focus at 5th level, or for your artificer spells. When you cast an artificer spell through the firearms, roll a d8, and you gain a bonus to one of these spells' damage rolls equal to the number rolled. You gain a bonus to one of the spell's damage rolls. Oh! Excuse me. When you cast an artificer spell through the firearm, roll d8, and you gain a bonus to one of the spell's damage rolls equal to the number rolled. So it's designed to work with cantrips, basically. I get it. I have to revisit these things again. I forget. Okay. Every large cannon you create is more destructive. The cannon's damage rolls all increase by d8. That's a 3d8 at 9th level. That's right on par. I'm cool with that. As an action, you can command the cannon to detonate if you are within 60 feet of it. Doing so destroys the cannon and forces any creature within 20 feet of it to make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save, or taking 3d6 force damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. That's about equivalent to d8 plus your stat modifier and taking damage, and it hits a group. 9th level, 3rd. I'm fine with that. The scale is good for the amount of damage that I would expect a cantrip or something to do. Let's finish the list and then see how we chew on it. Fortified position. You're a master at forming well-defended emplacements using Eldritch cannons. You and your allies have cover while within 10 feet of a cannon you create with Eldritch Cannon as a result of a shimmering field of magical protection that the cannon emits. You can now have 2 cannons at the same time. You can create 2 with the same action, but not the same spell slot. And you can activate both of them with the same bonus action. You determine whether the cannons are identical to each other or different. You can't create a 3rd cannon while you have 2. Wow, that's super fun. I love that. Okay, so feature variants, artillerists, Eldritch Cannon. In addition, you can no, that's good. I don't have anything else to say about this right now. I don't want to I don't think I want to completely reformat all these. I think I like them as they exist with just these tiny little modifications. I could consider going off the deep end. You know what? Yeah. For the spirit of the book, we're going to stay consistent and only mention the class features that are actually changed. Otherwise, refer back to the source material. However, on my Patreon, I can create variants of all these, like leaning into like making a full martial power artificer that is that only uses martial power stuff. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make that as free content on my website. So when we build the Spell Point Artificer book, we'll do this, but then we'll refer people and we'll build the variants of these. Once we build the book and get the book published, we'll build the variants, and we'll put it on my Patreon. I think that'll be fun. That'll be a good Patreon thing to do. Give people reason to show And since it'll be fan content, I'll make it free to people, for people to look at. And since it will be fan content free, I can take the entire class, all of it, and put it into the PDF, and then completely rebuild it to work specifically with martial powers. That'll be really fucking fun. And we can do color-coded subclasses and elemental subclasses, like earth themed artificer or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we're gonna do. That sounds like a really fun thing to do. So artillerist, that's good. Huh, you know what? There's a thrumming going on, it's weird. Infusions, learning powers, mana crystals, trap spring kits, empowered weapon. Wait, there is a spell storing. I think spell storing already works that way, doesn't it? We're going to update these anyway, so we'll go and take a look at it when we do. I just wanted to have that in there. Mana crystals builds mana for you. Trap serene kits, you can load it with a spell or a power to hit somebody with. Empowered weapons lets you build a weapon with power gear, with like power gear. There you go. So we'll build out power gear with it. But that is probably going to be beyond the range of what we're doing today. Battlesmith. Spells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10. Banishing Smite, Branding Smite, beep, 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 beep. The weapon gleams with astral radiance as you strike. The attack deals 2d6 radiant damage to the target, which becomes invisible if it is invisible. So that'd be Asium Strike and Banishing Strike. Okay. Replace Banishing Strike with, well, I think we need Asium Strike. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Asium Strike. Your weapon can deal radiant damage and add 1 power die per mana burned. The creature glows with faint light, negating the benefits of invisibility or concealment. The creature must succeed a charisma saving throw or any illusion and shape change effects target the hit creature end. So Asium Strike, good. And replace Banishing Smite with Banishing Strike. Your weapon can deal force damage and increases by 1 power die per mana burned. The creature is banished and incapacitated for 1 minute, returning to the same space it had been banished from if unoccupied. Otherwise, returning to the next closest space that can support its weight unless it was flying. The creature makes a charisma saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect early if successful. So, Banishing Strike. With Banishing Strike. STR4. spells otherwise remains as listed in Tasha's. Feature. Magic Dog. Battle ready, I mean. Your combat training and your experiments with magic have paid off in 2 ways. 1, you have proficiency with martial weapons. Very nice. And when you attack with a magic weapon, you can use your intelligence modifier instead of strength or dexterity modifier for the attack and damage rules. Cool. Steel Defender. Your tinkering has born you a companion, a Steel Defender. Steel Defender. Steel Defender. The feature otherwise remains as listed in Tasha's. Your Tinkerine has bound you a companion, a Steel Defender. It's friendly to you and your companions, and it obeys your commands. See its game statistics in the Steel Defender stat block and uses proficiency bonus in several places. You're determine the creature's appearance and whether it has 2 or 4 legs. Your choice. Has no effect on its game statistics. In combat, the defender shares your initiative count, but it takes your turn immediately after yours. It can move and use its reactions on its own, but only actions. Its only actions to take is dodge. There's the Steel Defender, extra attack. You can attack twice instead of once. Arcane Jolt. You've learned new ways to channel arcane energy to harm or heal. When either you hit a target with a magic weapon attack or your Steel Defender hits a target, you can channel magical energy through the strike to create one of the following effects. You can use this energy a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. You can do so no more than once per turn. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Extra 2d6 fire damage. Force damage. You can choose a creature or object you can see within 30 feet. Healing energy flows into the chosen recipient, restoring 2d6 hit points. That is at 9th level. Through your companion. Nope. What was I looking at? Level 9 variant. Arcane Jolt. Stealing it. Stealing it. When either you hit a target with a weapon, magic weapon attack, magic, weapon attack, or your steel defender hits a target, you can channel magic energy through the strike to create one of the following effects. Target takes additional force damage equal target takes additional damage equal to the amount of mana equal to a number of power dice takes an additional power die of damage equal to the amount of mana expended. It's level 9. Takes an additional D8 of force damage equal to the amount of mana expended. Choose one creature or object you can see within 30 feet of the target. Healing energy flows into the chosen recipient, restoring D8 hit points up to your max casting limit. Max spell level. You can use this energy a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. How about this? You gain a number of temporary mana to expend on these options equal to your max spell level. You regain you regain this temporary mana when you finish a long rest. So that's a bonus 5 points of mana that you get to spend on this. We already have language in here for the ranger that whenever you finish a short rest, you gain a free point of mana to maintain concentration on Mark of Prey. We tax you the point of concentration, like the level of concentration for the first level spell, but because you don't have to concentrate on it, you can't lose it really. So you could spam it, like you could drop it and then turn it back on again. It only costs you 1 point to do so, but it lasts. Otherwise, it lasts until you finish a long rest. So you don't ever, once you turn it on, unless something happens to you, you never have to turn it on. You don't have to turn it on again until you wake up the next day. And then after a while, you don't even have to do that. It just stays on permanently until you get killed. which is fucking great. So keep an eye on that stuff. But that opens the door for us to be able to use language like this. And I think when we go into the core book, we might end up doing this. Hold on. A D8 is not worth 2d6, but and a 2d6 is not worth 2d8. So I think having a single point allows you more flexibility. We're giving you 5 points anyway, and you can dump as much of your mana crystals into this if you wanted to. It's not the best healing, but it's not the worst, because you don't necessarily, like, you don't need to take cure wounds if you have this, for instance. So that becomes an option. You gain a number of temporary hit points to expend on these options equal to your max spell level. You regain this equal to the max spell level equal to the max you gained as an artificer. Because an artificer can't gain above 5th level, so you can't spend more than 5 mana, which is in amount of mana equal to the amount of mana expended up to your max channel, up to your max spell level gained as an artificer. Hold on. Yeah, okay. What's going to make the Artificer super fucking cool is that if you put sustained powers into Power Stones, you can overclock the amount of powers that you can sustain. So we will that can get fucking crazy. Maybe it should be the amount of items you can have infused at once. I think we need to look at that again. Hold on, let's finish this up real quick. Arcane Jolt, I like that variant for Arcane Jolt. That's fun. Improved Defender, your Arcane Jolt and Steel Defender become more powerful. Oof, 46, but it's a D10 at this. It becomes a D10 at 17th. Whenever your Steel Defender uses its deflect attack, the attacker takes force damage equal to blank. Okay. Improved Defender. Level 15, Improved Defender. Defender, and Tasha's. All right, we'll finish this and then we'll be done for the day. Your Arcane Jolt and Steel Defender become more powerful. The extra attack and damage, the Healing Bolt. Nope. The amount of temporary mana you gain to expend on Arcane Jolt increases to 5. It's gonna be 5 uses. 5, 4, 20. Okay. Jesus Christ. 46? No. 46 is equal to roughly 2d10. So it's half that. How do I want to do that? The amount of temporary mana you gain. The amount of temporary mana you gain to expend on Arcane Jolt increases to half your Artificer levels. So it'll get up to 10 eventually at 20th level. Right now, round down. So instead of 5, it's now 7. And by 20th, it'll be 10. So that's going to, and then the power die you'll use is a D10 at that point. The amount of temporary mana you gain increases is now equal to, it was 4 at 14th level, because at level 13 you cast 4th level spell. So it was 4 at 13th level. At 15th level it's now 7. And at 16th level it becomes 8. And then at 18th level it becomes 9. And at 20th level it becomes 10. So that's more bonus mana than this character is getting. And then again, you could get up to 36 with your mana crystals. Whew, man, that's sick. That's good. Your Steel Defender gains a +2 armor class. I'm fine with that. I love this. This stuff is so fun. Whenever your Steel Defender uses its deflect attack, the attacker takes force damage. Equal. I'm fine with that. And no need to change that. There you go. And so I'm going to finish here. And when we come back, we are going to start messing around with the infusions, double check what's actually here in the book for infusions, make sure we're not doing anything redundant. We're going to give another look-see at how the infusions are scaling and what benefits that we gain. And from there, we can then, if we have more time, we might not have any time left, but if we do, we can drop down here into Power Gear and take a look at the power gear that we can build here, and then start looking at our scaffolding, our random tables, and flesh things out. So, and then we can potentially build some more sample power gear, and we'll update what we have, and then we can see what else there is. So, this is fun. So when we come back, so this is the weapons, and I feel like maybe we should have armor listed in here as well somehow. Perhaps. I don't know. Maybe. We can just make unique items. That's what we'll do. Weapons are generic enough, but we'll make utility gear with armor and stuff. Legit. So the minimum common, uncommon. The problem with ranged weapons is you can't use strikes with them unless you have ranged skirmisher or you're a ranger with archery. So we have to build in here. So if we're going to have a magic item that's a ranged weapon that can do strikes. But I'm okay with them using meta powers. Am I being too stingy with power? Alternatively, I could reduce the damage die of power for ranged weapons by 1 die, unless you take skirmisher, in which case you increase it, so you can always use power, but it will just never be as good as melee. I think I like that. That's a shift, but I think that's a great idea because that'll make things a lot easier. Yeah, Rangers upgrade their damage for free, and then maybe later they upgrade it again. Ooh. Now let's upgrade again. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna rebuild that. I think that's the best choice. Man, I've been hanging on to that one for a long time, and it's too caveat because you can use any power you want anytime you want with melee weapons without ever having to think about it. But including thrown weapons. So if it's a ranged weapon, now you have to think a lot. We can solve that by making ranged weapons 1 die smaller. So the minimum die that you're supposed to use is a D6. So we'll get you down to a D4, and then you can take ranged skirmisher to increase the power die back to its normal size. Yeah, God, I like that. Okay, great. This is productive. So we're going to go in and we're going to fix that tomorrow. And that resolves the power gear issue of having common ranged magic items. Because otherwise that wouldn't work. Because you'd have to have the skirmisher power. And then what good is this bow? I can't skirmish. So that's lame. So yeah, we want to build that in. To a minimum of D4. That's how we have to word that. To a minimum of D4. Okay, hey, that's fantastic. This is really panning out. I'm excited about this, guys. I'm legit excited here. So I'll be back tomorrow morning. I'll be back tomorrow morning to do more Eberron art, and then I'll be back at lunchtime around 1:30 Seattle time. It'll be 4:30 East Coast, and we'll continue into Power Gear and Artificer Infusions. So if that stuff is cool to you, please do like, subscribe so you can get notifications that I'm out there. Follow me on the X Twitter platform if you want. Definitely jump into my Discord and my Patreon if you're interested in playtesting. Patreon gives you preference at the table if there's too many people that are sitting. And if all I have are Patreons and there's too many Patreons, we'll do a Patreon raffle. So, all right, that's it, guys. I will see you all on the other side. Thanks a lot.